In Africa, in the middle of a conflict zone, there are army people talking about where the anti-government forces got those weapons from. There were only 3 of them, and if the things continue like this, it'll be very bad for them. Should they retreat? No. One of them is coming and saying that he'll go ahead and lead the attack. It was their captain. He was a certain country's overseas expeditionary force, 1st Foreign Legion, 5th Squad Captain, Hasumi Ryuuji. He hides behind a rock and looks through the enemy territory. There were 3 people behind the boulder and 1 person behind the tree. He says that he'll make a quick detour so he can get around and attempt a surprise attack. He then moves towards the enemy. Before the enemies could realize what happened, he strikes one of them that was standing behind the boulder. The other 2 are surprised by this. Without even wasting a second, he then attacks all the soldiers. The 3rd one behind the tree sees this and attempts to shoot at him, but Hasumi sees him first and shoots him in the head. He then radioed his friend that the subjugation is completed. He then ties the 3 that were knocked unconscious by him. The 3 that were knocked unconscious slowly wake up. Hasumi go to one of them and ask something. He then answers. The soldiers tell him that the enemy corpse was disposed of. The soldiers then say that their base is located on the other side of the forest. The captain says that they will finish the reconnaissance for today. And the soldiers said, "Yes, sir." They then head back. One of them says to the captain that he thought that it would be a difficult military operation to pull off, but as expected the captain was awesome. The captain asked what was up with the sudden praise. A gracious man who doesn't fear death and with true strength to top it all off. Moreover, a superior intellect. The soldier asks where he had learned the local language. The captain doesn't say anything. Then the other soldier says that he thought Japanese people were all about peace and eventually grew weak because of that though. But he says that the captain is different. His nickname was the modern era's strongest. Hasumi says that they were mistake about no thing. He says that there was no way that he was not afraid of dying. Earlier he just made a judgment that the attacking side would be able to survive. The soldiers then look at their captain in awe. The captain then says that they will reach their target destination soon and tells everyone to be alert. Then the smoke suddenly starts appearing. Fog in such a place, was it poisonous? The captain was confused. The fog cleared, and when it did, Hasumi was somewhere else. A cave? Hasumi thought if there was a place like that nearby. For the time being he plans to check his map. But suddenly a voice echoes, "Welcome to the new world." Hasumi asks who that was. He then reaches for his gun, but his gun along with all his equipment had disappeared. He only had his knife with him. The voice then echoes stating that it was unnecessary to be on guard. The voice was a heavenly voice that was to guide him. The voice then displays his stats windows. This shocks Hasumi. He is confused about the data and why it was floating in the air. He thinks that he is going crazy. But then the voice tells that it was completely normal in this world. The voice then explained that in his world these kinds of things are normal in games. Hasumi says that he does not know. This confuses the voice. Hasumi then tells him he has not played any games cause up until then he had never had such luxury. The voice then asks if Hasumi is familiar with the words summoned in another world. Hasumi bluntly says that he does not. The voice almost curses, but then it controls itself. He then says that he will start from the top. But just then Hasumi hears a person's voice and tells the voice to keep quiet. He then looks down to see that there were people fighting something. Hasumi then analyzes the situation. People with strange attire speaking the language that they had never heard of, floating stats window, magic, another world. Even so he sees that the way they were attacking the monster was bad. He speculates that attacking its exterior probably dealt no damage. The mages were tired. They think that the monster was tough and that they should retreat. But if they do that, several people would be sacrificed. Hasumi then comes calling them and tells them to attack its abdomen. The mage is shocked seeing Hasumi and asks where he came from. Hasumi answers that it did not matter. As Hasumi had thought their language was similar to Spanish and Portuguese, there were some elements of French, but it seemed like he will be able to communicate with them. He then tells them that they won't be able to defeat the monster until they get in close and target the abdomen, and asks them why we're not they just doing that. The mage is startled. He says that it was because nobody would get close to that dangerous monster. The mages then asks if it wasn't normal to wear it down first. But Hasumi says that in doing so their members will lose all their strength. The mage then shouts at Hasumi and tells him to help them. Hasumi then says okay, that makes the mage go quiet. At that rate the other mages were about to run out of strength. Hasumi then comes forward. The mage saw that Hasumi was just level 2 and told him not to go forward as it was dangerous. Hasumi tells them it was not a problem and gets in front of the monster. As the monster was about to attack Hasumi, then jumps off and plans to attack it from behind in order to avoid its poisonous fangs. The monster sees this and blocks the attack with its tail. Its tail packed quite the destructive power. But it was fine as long as he did not get hit. He then continuously starts attacking the monster. The mages are shocked to see him and think that he was unbelievable. Hasumi speculates that the monster was forced to go on a rampant to shake him off, but thanks to that, its weak point, the abdomen, was defenseless. He then takes out his knife and attacks the monster's abdomen. The mage is watching him in shock. Hasumi defeats the monster single-handedly. The mages were in shock seeing that Hasumi had defeated the monster with just a knife. They thought that there was no way. Then one of the mages walks forward and asks him who he was. He answers that he is just a soldier. After the lizard is killed, a shining light came out of it and it turned into a gold coin. Hasumi picks it up and questions what it was. A voice then echoes stating that he had leveled up and the maximum HP had increased, and also his maximum MP had increased. A mage then calls him from the back. He thanks Hasumi for saving them. Hasumi says that they did not need to think much of it. The mage then asks who he was. He had said he was a soldier, but he was not the soldier of their kingdom. Hasumi tells them that he is an overseas expeditionary, but then thinks that they might not be familiar with the word he uses. Then he tells them that he could not explain in detail, but he carries out rescue operations. The mage then praises him for his strength and invites him to come along with them. The other mages then tell that they were against that and tell the other mage not to joke around about letting a guy who was not an adventurer join them. The mage then looks at them and asks the other mage if they are able to get out of there on their own. The other mages are quiet hearing this. He again asks if anyone else was against it. But no one raises their voice this time. So, in that case, the mage again extends his invitation. The mage then asks Hasumi to join them, and he agrees. He then goes with them, fighting the monsters in the dungeon. With his tactics and the support of the mages, he was defeating all the monsters in the path. The mage tells Hasumi that he was amazing, and if he was not with them there was a possibility of getting completely annihilated. Hasumi asks if the place was that dangerous. The mage then explains that although it is supposed to be a D rank, the second lowest rank was quite dangerous. Rank? Hasumi is confused. The mage behind him explains that did not even know that. The mage in front tells him not to act up on every small detail. The mage then apologizes to Hasumi, but he says that he did not mind that. The mage then explains that the dungeons have ranks assigned to them by the Adventurers Guild. Starting from the lowest rank, the order goes E rank, D rank, C rank, B rank, A rank, S rank. The legendary rank and the mythic rank coexisted, but those were special. The lizard cave from earlier only appeared in C rank dungeons, but these kinds of things happened from time to time. Hasumi did not know what dungeons were in the first place, but he guesses that they are a place where dangerous creatures like those appeared. When a dangerous creature, or rather a monster, dies, it vanishes into thin air. After that, an item of some kind will fall to the ground. It seems that the job an adventurer consists of collecting these dropped items. The thing in his hand was probably one of those items. The mage sees the coin and says, "Weapon summoning? Wasn't it a coin?" The mage says that it cannot be used as money. A coin-shaped special item can display various kinds of effects depending on its type. The weapon summoning could summon a weapon that you have used in your past life. Hasumi thinks that it is quite convenient, but could he keep it? The mage tells him that he could, as he was the one that defeated the monster. The other mage teases Hasumi, saying that there would be no adventurer that would be happy to receive something that insignificant. Hasumi then thinks that as a magician there would be no weapon for them to summon, but for him it was probably going to become his trump card. They again get into another fight, this time with Serpent Monster. Together with the mages, Hasumi manages to defeat the monster. He then again levels up, increasing his maximum HP and his maximum MP. The voice telling him that he leveled up was very noisy. The mage asks him what happened. He says that the heavenly voice was very noisy. The mage was confused and asked him what heavenly voice was. Hasumi tells him that it was nothing and he did not need to worry about it. Hasumi then thinks if he was the only one hearing that. He then asks the heavenly voice what it was. The heavenly voice tells Hasumi to leave the topic aside for a moment. First, the heavenly voice tells him to look around at his surroundings, as it seems he has arrived at a vast space. The mages were relieved to reach that place. After going this far, they think that the exit is near, but right then Hasumi senses something and tells everyone to run away because there was something on top of them. The mage watched in shock to see what that was. All of them were getting scared seeing that monster. Why was that monster in a D-rank dungeon? What the hell was a dragon doing there? One of the mages sees a shelter and tries to run there. Hasumi tries to stop him. Dragon flaps his wings that cause the boulders to fall and block the path they came from. What were they going to do now? Their only escape was on the other side. There was no choice but to fight with the dragon. The mages start attacking the dragon and divert its attention. The dragon was unfazed by the attacks. Hasumi asks what is going on. The mage replied that the dragon was preparing a magic roar, so they must quickly get away. They pulled back, but where were they supposed to go? The dragon then spews fire at them. Seeing the crater made by the dragon, the mages think that they did not have a chance against that. Hasumi thinks that it has a great display of destructive power. Moreover, its exterior was considerably tough too. It was practically an A rank and like a tank, but unlike tank it did not have any weakness. He then sees that its abdomen was scratched by a pebble and tries testing something. The mage sees him going to the dragon and asks him what he was planning to do. He says that there was something that he wanted to try. He then goes towards the dragon and throws his knife towards the dragon's abdomen. The dragon was hurt by that. Seeing that, he comes back. The mage tells him that there was no way that he could defeat a dragon. But Hasumi had thought of a plan. He had figured out that the condition for defeating it, seeing as the magic attacks are ineffective, can only mean that the physical attacks will work instead. So, he calls the mage and tells him that he will defeat the dragon and tells everyone to cooperate with him. The mages are skeptical about that. They think that it would be impossible, and the fear might have made him go insane. This time even the mage that was supporting him said that it would be impossible for Hasumi. Hasumi tells them that they did not have to have faith in him, but if it continued like this all of them would not be able to survive anyway. Hearing this, the leader says okay. The others were still doubtful, but there was no other way. So, they mustered up their courage. Hasumi then tells them not to worry as the odds of the gamble were not that bad. He tells them to divert the attention of the dragon anyhow. The mages then start attacking the dragon, trying to divert its attention. They thought that Hasumi was trying to escape by taking their advantage. Before the battle started, he had asked about how to use the coin. To use it, you must crush the coin with his strength, thinking about the weapon that he wanted. He crushes the coin and summons a 12.7mm caliber material rifle, a PGM Hecate. Hasumi thinks that it was surely the right choice when dealing with something on par with a tank. Luckily, he had used that weapon while sniper training. He won't be able to change position if he gets caught, so he only had one chance. Hasumi then fires the rifle. The bullet goes through the mages and towards the dragon. The dragon senses the bullet, but there was nothing he could do. The bullet hits it. Seeing this, all the mages were shocked. They thought that it was impossible. The dragon had been defeated.
Thank you for joining us in this recap journey. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Comment if you have suggestions, want more of the series. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Do subscribe if you want more similar content. This is Universe Nexus, your passport to the immersive realms of anime and manga.